Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of my What If I Was in My Hero Academia. Um, so let's get right into it. We continue off the story when me and Izuku get to his house. I was secretly hiding the pain that I was dealing with. Izuku remained oblivious to it. Eventually we make it into, um, eventually we make it known that we're home. I can't see Inko's code from her phone, so I checked the kitchen and dining room, and eventually Izuku's room. As I opened the door to Izuku's room, I smelled a foul scent. The foul scent soon surrounded me and filled the hallway behind me. Holding my breath and plugging my nose, I enter the room and I see the code flying out of her phone. But the sight I saw shook me to my core. "Hey Sheen! Found anything?" Izuku calls, climbing the stairs. He notices me staring into his room with fear. "Jean?" Izuku said, coming closer. He gets interrupted by the horrid smell. What is that smell? No, don't, I try to say, as I was too late. But I was too late. Izuku slipped under my arms, looked, and stood there, crying, his eyes showing that he was broken. He shouted his mother's name and then ran in there, grabbing her. Please, please, don't leave me. Please, Mom, please. Izuku proceeds sobbing into his mother's corpse. I finally snap out of it and proceed dialing 911. I shout at them to hurry, saying, "Hello? Is this 911? Please hurry to the Midoriya residence now! The mother of the household is injured and might be about to die." Okay, sir. We're sending over an ambulance now." I hurry over to the bathroom and get some supplies from the first aid. I check her wounds and see 3 bullet wounds and 4 stab wounds. I get the bullets out and sterilize all the wounds with hydrogen peroxide. I then try to gather up all her blood and put it back into her body, then sew her wounds shut. I then bandage the wounds and start doing CPR and chest compressions. Inko gasps for breath shakily. "Izuku? Sheen? But I thought I died." Izuku hugs Inko tighter. Then I begin tearing up, which injures me, but I don't care, and I proceed to hug Inko and Izuku very tightly. She looks at me and Izuku and hugs both of us. As she tries to speak more, she groans. At this point, the ambulance arrives, and they see the scene and see that I bandaged her wounds. They say, "We are here, but it seems that it's been handled?" "No, she is still injured, and parts of her might be severely injured more than I could help. So we should still get her to the hospital just in case." The paramedics nod and pick her up, put her in the ambulance, and us in the ambulance seats up front, while the ambulance people check her wounds and see just how good of a job I did in patching up her wounds, and check the heart monitor and see that it has spiked off earlier, then restarted. Back when they first got there, they also noticed the 3 bullets and immediately knew that 3 of the wounds must have been shot wounds. They were surprised that I knew what to do. After a few minutes, we finally arrived at the hospital where the professionals were, and they checked her wounds and body and for any other injuries that were possibly unnoticed, and found none that I hadn't dealt with. But they also noticed the fact that I supposedly revived her somehow. They tell me and Izuku this to let me know that she was lucky that I knew what to do, and that I somehow revived her. Izuku looks at me in shock, and I look at my hands, confused. The people then tell us that they are going to discharge Inko tomorrow just to make sure that she's used to having a body again. We skip till tomorrow when Inko comes of the out of the hospital room, merely using a single crutch to help herself um, stay upright and not fall over. Um, but soon, after getting used to stepping around again, she gives back the crutch to to the people in the hospital and proceeds to walk over to me and Izuku. Izuku tearing up, and me being me still tearing up. I mean, still crying. Uh, looks at her. Look at her um, with joy and relief, seeing that she was perfectly fine. We all say goodbye to the doctors at the hospital and then proceed to walk home. I ask Inko if she remembers what the people who did this to her looked like. She said no, and said, I couldn't see who they were because they had a bunch of clothing on to make it hard to see their appearance. And they also wore masks to make sure that nobody saw their face. All I know is that one of them was a girl and the others were boys. Dealing with this information was tough because then I had no idea who to go after. Since there were several villain groups that had at least one girl in them and several of the rest boys. But I shrugged it off, and I promised Izuku that if I find out who did this to his mom, that I would get revenge for him and her. Izuku nods and then looks at me saying, So, I guess that's it, huh? After all, we have got her back, and somehow, someway, you managed to revive her. Yeah, I guess you're right. Though I'm surprised that she was capable of being revived after how much she bled out. You two do realize I'm right here, right? Right, sorry, me and Izuku both say. 3 years pass. Izuku finally done with senior year and moving on to the exam. Now, Izuku does not actually get quirk from All Might. He instead is going in there quirkless. I simply go up to I simply am just standing around with Izuku, and um, prior to the exam, I actually did go up to Nezu's office and asked him, "Hey Nezu, so is it okay if Izuku makes it into the school, is it okay if I stay with him throughout the school days? As this is a promise that I made to Izuku's mother, due to prior circumstances." I don't see why not. After all, you're making sure that her student is that her son is safe and that she doesn't have to worry. So, why not? I will let you stay in I will let you stay with Izuku. If and when any danger happens to come around, just please remember to protect any and all students around, not just Izuku. Also, so I checked the files on you, but there were none. So I'm confused. If you are not in the records, then how are you here? Mentally, I think, crap, I didn't think about that. Oh, darn it. Um, well, you see, sir, I come from, a totally different country. Um, I mean, yeah, totally different country. So, I'm not from around here. Which might explain why you haven't seen, why there are no files on me in your system. Oh, alright then. Also, I noticed that you keep putting your finger into the phone's earphone jack. Is there a reason for that? Oh, right. Um, I guess I should let you know, since you're the principal. Uh-huh. I then unplug my finger from the earphone jack, and then proceed to speak, which is in the distorted Enderman voice. This freaks out Nezu. I plug my finger back into the jack and say, that's why. I can't exactly speak the normal language that you guys speak because my quirk makes my voice distorted and unable for anyone to understand. So, yeah. If you don't mind me asking, what is your quirk? Oh, well, I actually have two. Two quirks? That's interesting. I've never heard of someone with two quirks. Other than All for One, that is. Quite simply, uh, how do I say this? I was born with this one that makes my voice distorted, and then when I grew up to be 4, I got a second one. Well, anyways, enough of that with that. So what are your quirks? Oh, well, my first quirk, the one that you see right now, and can hear right now, is known as Enderman. Basically, I grow much taller than I normally would be, and I also can't speak in a normal tone of voice, because my voice is distorted and, similar to how Endermans from a game called Minecraft speak. Minecraft? What is that? Oh, that's right. You Japanese people have never actually seen it. Well, it's simply a three-dimensional block game that has multiple different creatures and some real creatures in a 3D blocky form. The Enderman being one of them. The Enderman is about 3 blocks tall and speaks in a distorted voice and is able to teleport. Basically, my Enderman quirk makes me exactly like the Enderman, which is extra tall. If people look me in the eyes, I begin freaking out. I am injured by any source of water, including my tears. Everything that I see is actually in a pinkish purple hue. And then my voice is extremely distorted. So that's about that. So, yeah. Anyways. And then my second quirk is called Hacker. For example, right now I can see code flying out of every single electronic device in this room. And if, per se, I decided to touch one of the pieces of code, I would do this. I touch the code coming out of Nezu's computer. And then Nezu is just like, where did you go? I tell Nezu, I talk to Nezu through the computer saying, I'm in your computer. Minimize the tabs that you have open right now. He does so and goes to his home screen and sees me sitting on his home screen. And it's just like interesting work. Not that the other one wasn't, of course. But what else does this do? What else does this work do? Oh, well, using the code that I see flying out of any sort of electronic device, I can hack into the device and disable or make it do whatever I want it to. So if I were to hack into your phone, I could, per se, access any and all personal information on the phone. Oh. I'm speechless there. I'm surprised that, you haven't thought of doing it before. Well, why would I? I'm planning on being a hero. But currently, I have changed my plans to being a bodyguard for Izuku. I might become a hero and might maybe even join Izuku in the school. But for now, I am only worried about Izuku's safety. Also, please keep All Might from interacting with me. Why is that? Oh, well, as I was saving Izuku from a villain, All Might saw me and assumed that I was a villain, and so he attacked me. Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. I will make sure that All Might leaves you alone, I guess. Thank you. Anyways, so if and when Izuku is in trouble, I will go and I will protect him from the robots. Anyways, let me get back out of your computer. I teleport out of his computer, back into the real world, and plug my finger into the phone again. And say, so, I am going to, I will be going now to oversee and protect Izuku. Well, I will most likely see you after the exam. Alright then. Well, I will talk to you later as well, I guess. Thank you, Principal Nezu. I will be on my way now. Izuku... As I walk towards where Izuku is, Nezu thinks, well, looks like we have an interesting scenario here. This will be fun to watch how it will play out. Eventually, I managed to get to where Izuku is. Seeing that he was nervous to go and step into the place where the written exam is. I walk up to Izuku and put my hand on his shoulder, saying, you should really calm down. It's not like this will be the end of the world. So, let's go in. Let's see how well you do and where you will be. Izuku finally breathes in and calms down and says, right. Well, let's go. As we both walk in, everybody looks towards us. I am also currently wearing glasses so that they don't make direct eye contact with me. Izuku goes and sits down, and am I am sitting up above with my back to the wall. As the as President Mike explains the written exam and um, gives Izuku the paper, I notice Bakugo about to try and do something. So I teleport next to Izuku and I grab Bakugo's hand. Bakugo looks at me, then looks at Izuku, and goes back to doing his test. And scoffs. As Izuku finishes up the test, I look at what he wrote down and saw a few corrections that he could have made and even a few grammatical errors on the part of Nezu, but decided to leave him be because Izuku was supposed to be the one to do this himself. Now Izuku turns in his paper and then waits. The rest of the students eventually finish, and I learned that Izuku got a total of 75% on the 76% on the exam paper. Eventually, it's time to learn about the practical exam. So he begins explaining the robots, and as he finishes the third robot and is about to continue on, he gets interrupted by a blue-haired student with engines coming out of his legs. As he says, "Sir, you seem to have missed one of the robots on the paper, as there are 4, but you only explained 3. If this is a issue on the side of UA, I am severely disappointed. And you, shouldn't you have been taking part in the exam as well? If not, why are you here?" I stare at Ida, which sends chills down his spine as I say, "I am the bodyguard of this here student, just to make sure that nobody tries to pull any stupid stunts." Okay then. I'm sorry. I will go back and sit down. Well then, that was interesting, to say the least. Anyways, so, on the 0-pointer, President Mike breathes in and calms himself down. The 0-pointer, the 4th robot is a 0-pointer. It is basically a massive obstacle that you should try to avoid. And it's really just 0 points and isn't worth anything, so it's best to try and steer clear of it. Well, that's all. Feel free to go and take the practical exam. I will be going now, President Mike says as he shakily walks out of the room. The rest of the students, other than Izuku, are all shaking with fear as to how I reacted to Ida. They all finally calm themselves down and get up and walk to where the practical exam is for each of them. And I stay with Izuku for his part, for where he is. As Izuku is nervous, I calm him down. Izuku thanks me and then notices the girl um, that was shaking, uh, because she was nervous. So he tells me to go and try to calm down, the girl. Ida doesn't hear what Izuku said, but notices me walking towards the girl. He, he is about to try to stop me, and then remembers what I said to him, which causes him to get a bit, get scared again, and just decides to leave me alone. I walk up to the brunette-haired girl with, um, with fluffy hair and rose pink cheeks. Izuku, um, is waiting for the exam to start as I say to the brunette-haired girl, "Hey, you should calm down. I know that this test might be scary, but you shouldn't be worried about it. After all, if you're here, you should be able to handle this, shouldn't you?" Right. Thank you, I guess. She begins to, calm down a bit, but she is a bit nervous uh, because I'm near her, and she remembers what I said to Ida, and how I said it. I proceed to walk away, as she remembers what I said to her, and calms down completely for the test. And right as I walk back to Izuku, Present Mike shouts, "Go! Go! Go! What are you waiting for? There's no timer to a real battle. There's no start to a real battle. Now, get in there! Come on!" Everybody else but Izuku runs in immediately, as Izuku, then realizes that he's being left behind and proceeds to run in as well. As he runs in, Izuku sees all these robots getting destroyed immediately. Izuku begins freaking out, thinking, "I'm not going to be able to get any points! What am I going to do?" I then realize that Izuku doesn't have his weapon with him, so I break off a piece of rebar from the wall and toss it to Izuku. As I shout, "Izuku, catch!" Izuku catches the rebar, the steel rebar stick, and proceeds to run towards the robots. He tosses the stick into one of the robots, which just so happened to be a 3-pointer, and he managed to get a direct hit directly into its eye, which causes its mechanical brain to haywire and causes the robot to explode, as Suzuku manages to grab the rebar stick and pull away from the robot. Izuku then proceeds to charge around, killing more and more robots. Destroying more and more robots. Until eventually the 0-pointer comes out. As Izuku sees the 0-pointer, he also notices everybody else running, and proceeds to also try to begin to run, and then hears a scream for help. Nezu, seeing what's about to happen, tries to stop the droid, but can't. Tries to stop the robot, the 0-pointer, from crushing the girl, but can't. I notice this, that Nezu is trying to stop the robot, but can't. So I charge in there. I teleport to Izuku, tell him, "I'm going to teleport you to where the girl is. I want you to immediately break the debris on her and run away with her." Alright then, what are you going to do? "I'm going to take that thing out." I say this as I teleport me and Izuku to where the brunette-haired girl is under the rubble. Izuku immediately begins destroying the rubble, as I then teleport into the air, and proceed to hack into the mainframe of the 0-pointer. Seeing what was wrong, I targeted the area that would be most effective on destroying it. So I go there, I discover a part of my Enderman quirk that I didn't realize I had, as sharp spines grow out of my fingers, as I then am able to cut straight through the thick wiring of the zero pointer, causing the entire zero pointer to shut down, and proceeds to have it where it collapses in on itself. As it's about to fall, as the pile of zero pointer junk is about to fall onto Izuku and Uraraka, I immediately teleport it up into the sky, teleport them away, and it falls down and crashes into the ground, breaking a few more buildings and causing a massive crater on the floor. All of the students look to the zero pointer in shock as to what just happened. They all look at me, and Izuku, and the brunette-haired girl, then look directly at me in absolute shock. As eventually Recovery Girl, enters the area. If anybody is hurt, please come over here so I can heal you. Izuku asks the brunette-haired girl if she is okay. She says, "My ankle is a bit twisted. And then Izuku asks me to teleport them over to Recovery Girl. So I do. But the rest of the teachers up in the observing room are all in shock as to how powerful I just was. And then All Might proceeds to try to get up to go down and talk to me, thinking, that person is perfect to be my successor. Is the perfect person to be my successor. As All Might is about to get up, Nezu remembers what I said, and says to All Might, if you're going down to talk to the kid that just destroyed the zero pointer, I would not suggest it. Why, Nezu? Well, the boy specifically came to me and asked if I could have it where if you try to come to him that you don't, because he remembers what happened to him after he saved the green-haired kid from a villain attack. He thinks, damn it, it was that kid that just did that. I can't believe that I did that to them. Immediately, Nezu pulls up the file on the kid who is on Izuku Midoriya, who is currently the person in first place, because he knows that since I technically destroyed the zero pointer, that he should just give it to Izuku due to me being his bodyguard. So, he gives all of my rescue points to Izuku, which puts him in first place. On top of the fact that he also rescued Uraraka. So, with that, he pulls up the file on Izuku Midoriya and sees something that shocks him. He's quirkless, Nezu thinks. But from what I saw, he is very far from quirkless. I mean, how would he have been able to do any of that stuff? I mean, he is able to get the attention of his bodyguard without really being able to talk to him, and is even able to do all of the things that he just managed to do. So how is he quirkless? As Nezu sees this and begins thinking about this, the rest of the teachers ask Nezu to pull up the file on Izuku Midoriya, who is in first. Nezu, who already has it up, decides to put it on the main screen, showing that Izuku Midoriya was quirkless. All of the people in there proceeded to wonder, if he's quirkless, then how did he teleport there? Nezu then realizes this and then mentions, oh, right, his friend over there, his bodyguard over there, is actually, capable of teleporting other people with him, if I remember correctly. So, his bodyguard must have teleported him over there, and then did the same thing when he teleported them to Recovery Girl. Anyways, I think we should call the exam to an end here. Alright then, so, this is the end of the exam. Everybody who's injured, please head to Recovery Girl. And, for those who passed, your letters will arrive in a week or two. Izuku looks at me and thanks me for giving him the rebar weapon. I say, oh, it's perfectly alright. After all, you needed a tool to defend yourself with, especially since you're quirkless. Now, when I said this, I whispered it into his ear so that nobody would have heard me. Ida is still in shock as to how powerful I am. And eventually, me and Izuku will walk home from UA. And that's where I'm going to be leaving. That's where I'm going to be leaving it off, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I will be gone for a while to do other things. I will see you all in the next video, depending on what it is. Goodbye.